Hello, everyone. Everyone there, everyone here. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. We're going to start as usual. Bring your very good attention, no doubt you have. Thank you for your thoughtful and discipline to give ourselves a good bathe with the Dharma knowledge and understanding so that all the debris, dirt of lives and suffering can be washed away as we become and go under the shower of the Dharma, and it will always continuously pouring, and our ability to go where the word power, where the Dharma is, it will enable us to greatly benefit oneself and others. So we are going to start as usual first with the renewal of our refuge, the affirmation in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, not so much as external, but realizing what the Buddha constitute by practicing Dharma, how important it is to be in the fellowship of Sangha and rejoice the friendship that we have, and therefore celebrate that, and therefore learning to generate loving kindness and compassion to all sentient beings, majority of whom are completely lost in the cold, barren places where there's no Dharma because of their frontiers they've chosen are such that they have no able to hear the Dharma and understand. So for the benefit of all beings, we're going to listen and practice and dedicate. So with this in mind, we'll do the refuge and for immeasurables. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Asanga Ajere Lajama Bhavachu Ajivendala Ajare Buddha Vudu and Buddha Dhamma Asanga Ajere Lajama Bhavachu Ajivendala Ajare Buddha Vudu and Buddha Dharma Asanga Ajere Lajama Bhavachu Ajivendala Ajare Buddha Vudu. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know power and happiness and know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those near fall. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those near fall. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never burn from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to the near and far, according to the intelligence and predisposition of it, where de yachanda dharma agrelo henkam Hello everyone, can you hear me? Something's got... Something's not right? Fine, is it? Hello everyone, can you hear me? Anyway, this one has frozen, doesn't matter if anybody can hear. Yeah? Is it okay? Because everybody's frozen on here.
Yep, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone, thank you. We are continuing the study of the Uttaratantra Asanga's one of the 5 major works of his called Uttaratantra, the topic of which covers 7 Vajra points. Of the 7 Vajra points, we are currently discussing the 5th Vajra points, which is enlightenment. The first 4 Vajra points are Vajra points of the Buddha, Vajra point Dharma, Vajra point Sangha, and Vajra point Buddha nature. So those we finish. And last week we started discussing the 5th Vajra point. 5th Vajra point is to do with the enlightenment. 5th Vajra point actually start the 2nd chapter of the text. So we started last week that enlightenment has 8 characteristics, and we discussed the first 3. First 2 we finished, but the third one we are still talking about. The nature of the enlightenment is first, and the cause of it, and then third is the result. So the result is actually the benefit of the enlightenment has. So we covered last week using the first 3 analogies of the the lake, the lotus. That is unsoiled by the water. That is the first quality result of perfect liberation, and second is the being free from the sting of the Rahu's hatred. That's the second analogy, and third one is the darkness that is completely removed to shine, bring the sunlight. So those 3 we finished. Verse number 181 we finished last week. Now today we're going to start off talking about extensive result quality. Extensive qualities, result of qualities. And so this starts with, because enlightenment is unrivaled. So the unrivaled qualities of the enlightened one is that, it cannot be comparable to anything, because quality of enlightenment has no match. It grants the taste of sacred dharma and is free of the peel. So that's the 4th analogy. It's like a very what do you call the peel. And when the peel is removed, then the taste of nectar, taste of what do we call the honey like dharma, because dharma is so profound, and its taste is so soothing. Whoever hears the dharma, whoever comprehends the dharma, it heals many of their wounds of their life and mind. Because of that, like the Sugata. So Sugata means the Sugata word Sugata. Su means bliss. Gata means gone from bliss to bliss. And so because of that, like the Sugata, Sugata is the analogy of the Buddha that is revealed from the lotus flower, and honey is that which is not eclipsed by the bees. The honey can be attained, and then and the grain is the once the husk, the peel is removed. Yeah, once the peel is removed. So because of that, there is double purity, because it is pure. So because of the purity, this double purity, like the gold that is free of rust and free of the adventitious obscuration, purity, it alleviates poverty. It's alleviate poverty of sentient beings might have money, clothes, food, friends, and land and property also. They still feel very, very poverty. They feel still destitute of happiness, destitute of harmony, destitute of peace. But those who are able, one who has got enlightened one, the enlightened one gives the fruit of liberation. It alleviates the poverty, and the enlightenment, and therefore is like the gold. Like the gold, the gold is the fourth analogy. Remember, the gold that is covered in rag. And then we discover once the rag is removed, the gold is discovered. The treasure is the fifth one, which is the mind. The mind is the treasure, and mind is usually covered under earth. Yeah, mind is usually covered under earth, and then the seventh one is the seventh one is sixth one is the tree. The tree here refers to the fruit that grows from the tree, and then when you remove the peel of the fruit, then you actually have the result. So all of these are very much connecting to the 9 analogies we talked about in the earlier chapter. So all of them are listed one by one, because it is jewel of Dharmakaya. So it's talking about the Dharmakaya is the like gem, and so Dharmakaya, jewel of the Dharmakaya, the supreme Lord of human beings, and manifest in the form of precious statue. The enlightenment is like the gem. Yeah. So therefore, the Buddha manifests in the Nirmanakaya form in the world among bipeds, and excelling from everyone, and therefore he's able to manifest like a golden statue, golden body, which is very precious body, actually Sambhogakaya form, but nevertheless manifesting in Nirmanakaya form, that so the ordinary people can see. Ordinary people can see. So because of that, it is only the Buddha that has 3 kayas, yeah? The Dharmakaya, and the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. So all of the 9 analogies that we talked about, the Supreme Lord of human beings manifests in the form of precious statue. The enlightenment is like the gem, king, and the golden. So the gem correspond to Dharmakaya, the king correspond to Sambhogakaya, and the golden correspond to Nirmanakaya. So what does those 3 verses show is extensive qualities of result of the 3 kayas. Result in the three kayas corresponding to the 9 analogies we discuss. We discuss. So now the fourth one is the function of enlightenment. So those are the nature, cause, and result of enlightenment. The fourth is the function of enlightenment. So this has brief explanation as well as the extensive expensive explanation. First one, verse number 185, is talking about the devoid of contamination. Contamination refers to the enlightened beings, Nirmanakaya and the Sambhogakaya, is devoid of any of the contaminations. Contamination means afflictions and karma. They don't actually have affliction and karma. Therefore, the Buddha always appears with excellent 112 marks of enlightened one. So therefore, whoever lays their eyes on the Buddha, they find instant liberation. They merely by seeing. You could see this, some of those they call meaningful to be behold. Some of those attributes are with other people too, like His Holiness Dalai Lama definitely would have some of those features. Once he comes, he fills the room. Everybody feels the amazing purity and power, removes those because of his immaculate quality, devoid of contamination. So what is the devoid of contamination? It's the Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is pervasive. Pervasive means that the Dharmakaya is not localized. Dharmakaya is only Nirmanakaya might be here in the world but not elsewhere. But Dharmakaya is like the space. Dharmakaya is all pervasive. So that's why pervasive. So pervasive is the wisdom, and indestructible nature, yeah, and the nature of the Buddha, the form body of the Buddha are indestructible. So that's why we don't say Buddha died. Some people I heard they say Buddha died. We don't use those Buddha died words. Buddha passed away into Nirmanakaya. He simply shows as he is passing away from the mortal body, but actual Nirmanakaya don't have a death because there's no birth. Birth is caused by karma and affliction. So since Buddha is not born with karma and affliction, therefore there was no birth. His manifestation is Nirmanakaya, therefore it's indestructible nature. Even though there are times, like even in the conventional life of the Buddha might have it injured or maybe he got a little ill or something. But this was simply to teach sentient beings that they should not be discouraged with illness and injuries. Even Buddha too go through that. Just simply to come bring him down to the level of everybody, so that they don't unnecessarily compare incredible things with the Buddha. So otherwise, the nature of Buddha is indestructible nature. Enlightenment is, and therefore. Enlightenment is the abode of these three. The abode of steadfast, peace, and what do we call? Peace and permanent and absolute. This is actually four. There are four qualities. So those are now those four are listed. Those four are listed in that pure like space. So now it's going to sort of explain how the benefit of the function of this is because we're talking about the function of the enlightenment, function of enlightened being who has these four qualities: steadfast, peace, permanent, and absolute. Firstly, it says that the pure like space. So Buddha's quality has positive effect that it has only good benefit, only positive effect to to other people. And so enlightenment of the Buddha is not to show that he's enlightened. Reason Buddha showed to the world that he's enlightened is to benefit other people, so that it is like it says here, it is like the space, It is like the space. Because like when you see the space doesn't get bound here, bound here. Space is unbounded. Likewise, the Buddha is like the space. It's just there is no place where the Buddha's enlightened qualities are bounded or are not permitted, Not permitted. People really want them. Even the Mongols, who were very, very wrathful, who was conquering the whole 2/3 of the world there. But when they heard the Dharma Dharma. They just invited the Dharma in the world. Otherwise they were treating everybody with contempt. But when Sakya Pandita and the Tibetan monks were promoting Buddhism, all the Mongols embraced them because the enlightened activities of Buddha, enlightened activities are so pervasive. It's a pure like space, means it's unimpeded by anything. And impeded. Tathagata is the cause of, so Tathagata means the enlightened one on the conventional world and ultimate level is cause of experience 6 sense faculties. So meaning that the Buddha's appearance becomes suitable object for the 6 sense faculties. People who have eyes get the reason to look because they have saw something useful, People who have ear have heard something useful. So otherwise their senses, those are usually tainted by contaminated delusion. But as soon as they become exposed to the Buddha, as soon as each of the 6 sense faculties Tathagata is cause of experiencing sense faculties for sentient beings to awaken themselves. How does the Buddha, that's the function, we're talking about function, how the Buddha has function. The fact that we all have some kind of bond and friendship is because of the Buddha activity. It is because of the Buddha activity, enlightenment of the Buddha that took place in Bodh Gaya. Why people go to Bodh Gaya? Because it has such an impact on people's life. They have to go and check the spot, It's like the epicenter. It's ground zero where Buddhism flourish, and how it's changing you and others in life. So everybody who has the benefit of eyes and ears, eyes to read, because you read many books, but wait until you read Dharma books. You heard many music. Wait until you heard the songs of Dharma, the true truth of the Dharma. Dharma is the highest music, and whoever speaks the Dharma, it's so obvious that it is Dharma. So obvious it is Dharma. So this is talking about how the function of the enlightened one has these qualities to arouse benefit to sentient beings, to then their sense organs. We call Tibetan sense powers. Then they empowers their senses. Then people actually get clairvoyance and clairaudience. Then they actually can hear the truth. Then they have an actual hearing aid for a change. Previously, they never heard anything so useful. Then they're actually hearing something useful, and they actually are able to see something useful. They learned how to read Sanskrit or Tibetan or English. Very good. Now you can read that. Read something useful. So all senses are empowered by the space like the Buddha. It just opens the infinite possibility for them to become woken up. So that's talking about how the function of enlightened one, looking at the non-arisen visible objects. So now we're talking about each of these 6 sense faculties. When you look at things, usually we see things and we think the things are things. But now you will see the non-arisen things. You can see the thing does not truly exist at all from its own side, either independently or permanently or unitarily. Because of that, people are able to see the insight of emptiness of the forms. And that's the meaning of looking at the unarisen object, visible object. Hearing good and pure speech. Now they all are able to hear the Mahayana's good news, pure and worthy of listening to. Worthy of quoting to other people, worthy of listening to, because it enables people to actually listen and hear something useful. Hearing good and pure speech. So that's the second organ, hearing. A third hearing organ is smelling, what we call olfactory, is it? Olfactory, olfactory sense faculty. Smelling pure aroma of moral conduct of the Sugatas. When you come to Dharma, you will know how much the purity of the Buddha's self-discipline. Sitting under that single fig tree in the middle of a paddy, nowhere else, not even a water, not even, but he sat there with pure self-discipline. The aroma of that pure self-discipline is still wafting, still filling the air of your little nose. So you have good reason to have an unblocked nostril because you're actually able to smell the pure aroma, pure aroma of the moral conduct of the Sugatas. Not moral conduct of the Sugata refers to those who harm him, he would not retaliate back. That kind of abstinence from violence. And we're not talking about giving up few things here and there as that's moral conduct. That's nothing to do with, there's lots of people, there are a lot of animals give up many things that we do everything. Then the animal will be enlightened. Those are moral conduct. We're talking about moral conduct of getting rid of hate, getting rid of greed, getting rid of ignorance. And that's why he sat there motionless under the tree. That's the aroma we are talking about. I mean, people go all the way from Sri Lanka, all the way from Myanmar, all the way from Tibet, Japan, China, nowadays from Australia. Everybody go to Bodh Gaya. It's as if there was such a... Bodh Gaya is a really, really poorest kind of Indian state, and there's nothing much there. But what happened there is makes everybody want to go there because they have all smelled the amazing aroma of Dharma. I'm sure you have dropped some bad odors in your life as a result of Dharma coming into your life. So we're talking about the function of Buddha's function of enlightenment of the Buddha, tasting the flavor of sacred Dharma of the great noble ones. Being able to use terms and concepts and ideas that the great beings have experienced, like nectar-like realization of Dharma. Buddha meditated many, many lifetimes and enlightenment, and we are able to hear them in couple of words and phrases. It completely makes us all feel like we are truly fed. Otherwise, we are all malnourished. We are fed, but we're still hungry. We drink, but we're thirsty. We have, but we are poor. We see, but we're blind. We hear, but we are deaf. But the moment you have the enlightened ones effect coming into your life, you have truly tasted the sacred Dharma of the noble ones, sacred Dharma of the. Noble ones. Because of the power of the samadhi, by tasting this power of the samadhi, when one carefully reflects upon its deep intrinsic nature, this means samadhi. When you meditate, I'm sure every one of you meditate, don't you? When you meditate carefully, when you're in a deep meditative state of meditation, then you will you become empowered to gain physical and mental pliancy, meaning that you have such a physical pliancy and mental pliancy that you might be in your old body or sick body, but you still are sitting up in honor of the Buddha on your cushion, and you're always sitting there in kind of as if you are exercise, Your body is completely serviceable to practice Dharma. You never think body is too old or you're too sick to practice Dharma. As Dharma, practicing the Dharma is not lifting a boulder from here and lifting over there. This is talking about how to suffer less and, if possible, not at all. And so, as a result of that, when one carefully reflects on benefit of bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, and impermanence, and all, then we develop deep intrinsic nature of the true nature, then which has therefore Buddha himself attained the realization, and as a result of that, it gave him the sukha. Sukha means bliss. And the Buddha becomes Sugata because he experienced bliss after bliss, bliss after bliss. There were Shekpa in Tibetan, means Sugata. Gata means gone, in sense, in the Heart Sutra mantra, we is Gate. So Gate means gone. Su means bliss. So bliss, gone from bliss to bliss, and he wasn't suffering. Outwardly, it looked like his body was emaciated. He looked tall, losing weight and very reduced to skeleton and very pale, and outwardly that. But deep down, he was in deep samadhi of the most important bliss of total physical pliancy. His body wasn't having any food, but nevertheless, body is completely undiscomposed, has not died, but yet not resorting to any of the contaminated food and other sort of objects of enjoyment, temporary enjoyment. But his mind does not have craving for any of that because he's rapturous. He has developed the physical pliancy. Because of the physical pliancy, he has a physical bliss. He's not suffering under the skin when sitting under the tree, And that's why when we refer to the Sugata, the bestower of ultimate bliss, if you have some bliss and happiness and kindness in you, it's because the Buddha attained enlightenment and his culture of Dharma has got into you, and you learn to make those bliss in your life. It's devoid of reasons. It doesn't need, it doesn't. Nobody can explain it. Nobody needs to explain it. It is like the space, like the sky. It is devoid of reason. Is devoid of the reasons that we usually think about. Who is the bestower of ultimate bliss, and how he does it, what it does, we could not even explain. We couldn't find enough words to explain, except these words. Except these words. I don't think these words explain at all. So no wonder Asanga wanted to devote 404 verses for this topic, because it is talking about the incredible, inexpressible, unexplainable qualities of the Buddha. So that is explaining the function, the brief explanation of the brief explanation of the function of enlightenment. Now the detailed explanation of the function of the enlightenment. So this has two: the function of the enlightenment and the doer of the function. One who actually is agent that does the actual the enlightening. In brief means the two kayas, the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya. The Dharmakaya is for self-liberation, and the Rupakaya is for other liberation of others. So these two, in brief, this enlightenment is the function of true primordial wisdoms. True primordial wisdoms. Which are the true primordial wisdom? Refers to the meditative equanimity wisdom generated within the meditative equanimity, and post-meditative wisdom. Post-meditational wisdom. There are two. So meditative equanimity wisdom is the Dharmakaya, and post-meditation wisdom is the Rupakaya, because post-meditation Buddha rises from the Dharmakaya and goes in form of Rupakaya and then benefits sentient beings. So therefore, that's the kind of a function of the Buddha's enlightenment, is this two primordial wisdoms. The liberation kaya is perfection, and the Dharmakaya is purification. So this is talking about the liberation kaya is the Dharmakaya. The word here used, the liberation kaya, because liberation, if the Buddha himself is not liberated, he could not do the benefit liberating others. So because Dharmakaya is a liberated kaya, is the perfection in the meditative equanimity, the mind of the Buddha is completely free from the obscuration of afflictions. So therefore, when it says liberation kaya is perfection, liberation from the obscuration, therefore is that Dharmakaya represent the perfection. And the Dharmakaya is the and the Dharmakaya is the perfection. So Dharmakaya is the subtle liberation of the knowledge obscuration. So, of course, we don't mean the Rupakaya has yet to purify the subtle obscuration. That doesn't mean that. But because Buddhahood has a function of the two kayas, Dharmakaya does the purification, and Rupakaya does the liberating. What the liberation kaya is, liberate oneself and then liberates others. Dharmakaya is state in a purity form of it. Doesn't actually. Dharmakaya is the sky. That the Rupakaya is like this rainbow, okay, and the moon and the sun. You see, because if there is no sky, you can't say the moon and the sun is very shining well. You can't. If you go in a very underground and you can't see the sky, therefore you can't see the sun. Likewise, so therefore the Dharmakaya is the purification kaya, and Rupakaya is the one that liberates sentient beings. So here it is explaining the function of the two kayas, but in reality they are one. Yeah, in reality they are one. The two. It says now it's summarized. The liberation and the Dharmakaya should be considered as one. So they shouldn't be regarded as one does this, another does that. Only in discourse we have to explain the difference between the sky and the light, sunlight, but you can't have a sunlight without having sky, there is no place, there is no space. Therefore space is pervasive, and the sun happened to be shining there. So you can't really separate the two together. There isn't a sort of non-space area where the sun is trying to get in, So that's why I said two are regarded as one, because they are uncontaminated, pervasive, unconditioned, and ground. So therefore it now gives the four qualities. They are uncontaminated. The liberation, when the Buddha liberates sentient beings in form of Nirmanakaya and comes to the world, it's uncontaminated. He is completely unspoiled by any faults, and but the pervasive means Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the wisdom is pervasive. And then, but the one common feature of both Dharmakaya and Rupakaya is what? Unconditioned. Yeah. The third is the unconditioned quality of both Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, unconditioned. And then the ground is for the sake of benefiting others, the true kayas are the station or the ground from which they launch to benefit sentient beings. So therefore, without the true kayas, we can't really talk about practice in Mahayana or attainment. So therefore, we try to attain the true kayas. In order to attain the true kaya as the result, we have to remove the two obscurations. And to remove the two obscuration, we practice two accumulation, the merit and wisdom, in order to attain the two kayas. So that's why normally we talk about attaining two kayas. The attaining two kaya is a result of enlightenment. So the function of enlightenment is that it provides. So that is the explanation of the function and doer together. Now, separate explanation means the explanation of these two individually. Two activities. That the two activities are activities for oneself and activities for the others. So the liberative Dharmakaya, liberative kaya, and the wisdom kaya. So first it says the cessation of affliction and imprints. So this refers to the enlightened one. How does enlightenment work for itself? So this first four verses, 92 until 93, is talking about the qualities, the qualities that it has for oneself. So the enlightened liberative kaya is devoid of any afflictions. both affliction and the subtle imprints. And the cessation means they don't have any residue left in the mind of the enlightened one. And whereas the so that is the liberative kaya, and the wisdom kaya is because it is pervasive. It says freedom from attachment, obstruction. Wisdom, primordial wisdom, is considered pervasive. So the wisdom of the wisdom kaya of the enlightened one is pervasive to all phenomena. All phenomena, that is what you call infinite varieties of conventional phenomena, as well as ultimate variety-less nature of all phenomena. Because ultimately there is no varieties, and so therefore they know all things as they are. As they are is as they lack any independent existence, let alone separated from others. So there are two wisdoms. One wisdom that sees the conventional reality as enumerative as possibility of all knowable phenomena on the conventional level. So they are completely unobstructed. Freedom from attachment, unobstruction, meaning there is the Buddha knows if Buddha were to explain, he can explain why the peacock feathers become so beautiful, why the peas are so round, why the thorns are so sharp. If there's anybody who can understand his imagination, he can give a discourse. So Buddha knows everything. Buddha knows everything. And it says that it is unconditioned. Unconditioned refers to the two kayas. The two kayas, the Rupakaya and the Dharmakaya, is both not conditioned as we are conditioned. We are all conditioned by karma and affliction and ignorance and so on, and so we are conditioned. So similarity of the Buddha, like the space, is unconditioned. Because it's unconditioned, it is by nature indestructible. So there is no time the Buddha passes away, Buddha dies. Buddha is omnipresent, and because of that, it is indestructible. So the qualities and the benefit and effect the Buddha has is indestructible, and is therefore not subject to the destructibility itself. Indestructibility itself has been taught as the nature of the enlightened one. So why it's steadfast, we were referring to steadfast, is the first of the four qualities. It is steadfast because it never will be destructible. So the qualities of Buddha never ages. You can never say quality of Buddha today and tomorrow you say it's a bit boring, so we can talk about something more interesting. It's always inspiring, always cause of inspiration. And it is basically it's not subject to aging, subject to conditioned by many things. It doesn't lose its values. The time ages, the value of the Dharma and wisdom of Dharma, enlightenment does not change, so does not deteriorate. People and individuals might deteriorate their behavior, but the value of the truthfulness and validity of Dharma never ages. So it is therefore steadfast, and the like means the other three we were referring to. It's steadfast, we were talking here steadfast. uncontaminated, pervasive, unconditioned, and ground. So that referring to the steadfast light. Yeah. So respectively, contrary to the steadfastness and so on, when it refers to the peace and steadfastness, these are four types of indestructibilities. The other things, well, conditioned things, phase through drastic changes. It decay. They are decay, drastic change, termination, unthinkable transformation. You wouldn't believe how quickly ordinary world, its environment, its powerful monarchs, its status of kings, status of empires, and a rule of law and whatever, they go through amazing phases of rising creation, peaking to the high, and then all of us, whatever had rise, it will fall and decay, and then almost a sign of nothing. Like many things have just come and decay, go through drastic changes, and they get terminated. So even say the outer form of dharma might be going through decay. Maybe the countries have huge learning centers, thousands of practitioners, and it may completely be destroyed. But dharma itself never decay. It never, I would say, never sort of go through drastic changes of irrelevance. People say that's not relevant. This is not change, and people having to change the dharma. Dharma doesn't need any changes. Any. It might have to be offered or presented slightly different, but actual truth and benefit, dharma will speak itself. So you don't have to try very hard, try to modify, try to tailor. If you speak the true dharma, the enlightenment, it is indestructible from decaying. So dharma will not decay. The enlightened qualities of steadfastness, the usefulness, the medicineness of the dharma. All the medicine has only got a couple of 3 years, maybe used by. After that, it all expires and become dangerous. Expire medicine become poisons. But the dharma, the enlightened quality of steadfastness, will never go through this decay. And the qualities of the wisdom, and it doesn't need to go through any drastic changes. Some people always say, "Oh, Rinpoche, Your Holiness, how should we adapt the Dharma to the West?" As we have to make some amazing concession, we have to sort of make them so much changes to suit the people or something, as if Dharma isn't irrelevant to the people. Sure, culturally there are certain cultural entrapment of Dharma in people different. Wherever Dharma travels, the culture goes with that. So you can definitely change the cultural kind of garb of things. Some people really think the form of Dharma is Dharma, the substance is not. Real substance Dharma doesn't need any kind of concession, any kind of adaptation, any kind of modernization. Real Dharma does not need any drastic changes. So people don't have to sort of secularize Buddhism, for instance. Sure, because Dharma has been practiced and taught and largely by monastics, the language perhaps, the kind of sexism and some kind of culture conservatism, those things are not Dharma. Those things are completely influenced by the culture of Thai or Tibet or Japan or Indians or whatever. So, but it took long time to take root of that in some. But Dharma itself doesn't have to go into any drastic change. Four Noble Truths has always been Four Noble Truths. You never have to make 8 or maybe 2 or say, oh, the third one is really difficult. Let's not talk about it. It's not like that. So I remember years ago, when I was giving a talk somewhere, there was a very old Burmese lady. She looked really devout, because she's never seen Tibetans, but she's heard about Tibetan being Buddhist. But the Burmese perception of Tibetans and Buddhists are maybe not quite right Buddhists. They may be Hindu or something. They definitely they think that Tibetan Buddhists are like more like tantric kind of things. But and at the end of I was talking on the Eight Noble Path or something, and she was really happy. She said, "Oh, I'm glad you talk about Eight Noble Path," because she thought we had some other dharma, maybe talk about deities and all these things, or mantras, the deities, the lineages, traditions, and who is who, and that kind of esoteric stuff. Of course, if you talk that, definitely those things can be sometimes hijacked. The true spirit of Dharma, So so when people really hear the true Dharma, they are really happy that that's true Dharma. The other aspect of practices that people talk about in certain culture and language and ethnic and a culture aspect of the Buddhist culture takes over the substance of it, how they do, what ritual they do, what are the kind of formality they do. And most people get completely caught up in that. These days, ritualization of Buddhist practices may think people say, "Oh, we need to change." But those rituals is completely adaptable. But actual Dharma itself shouldn't need any drastic change. No, from termination. And terminating meaning that it becomes some become basically irrelevant, and there is no such of irrelevance and unthinkable transformation, unthinkable. Meaning things have to change. Things have to change. There's no such necessity. So that's why Dharma, the enlightened qualities are steadfast, are indestructible, and they remain steadfast and will not need to go through an enlightened quality. Free of these, it should be known as steadfast. Now it's talking about the the four qualities. The four qualities. The known as free of these four, free of decay. What is the fourth? The free of these means free of decay, destruction, drastic change, termination, and unthinkable transformation. It should be known as opposite to those four is steadfast. So here, the steadfast refers to the kind of unchangeable. Remain really steady. Remain steady, and it is very firm. Steady means firm. Like your realization of when you understand the Dharma, enlightenment of the Buddha, like teaching of impermanence. He said, those who think of impermanent if those people who think of impermanence meditate on that, they are actually blessed by the Buddha, because that will make them to become steadfast. Make them to be steadfast and not decay when something goes wrong. Maybe someone hates you, and all of a sudden. But when you think of impermanence, even somebody hates you, you will not decay because they hate you, but you will remain steadfast with loving kindness to them. Yeah, you will radiate loving kindness to somebody who hates you. Because ordinary people will decay, their friendship will decay, but you instead remain very, very steadfast. You radiate loving kindness. So loving kindness is not because someone loves you, you reciprocate loving kindness. That's more sounds like attachment. The real loving kindness is when somebody is decaying their friendship towards you, that you actually are more steadfast to radiate with loving kindness. That is the enlightened qualities. Enlightenment, how do you know you're enlightening? Not because you're levitating, not because you can read somebody's mind. Why you want to read somebody's mind when you can barely read yours? So don't get esoteric. Don't try to make esoteric, Buddhism has to be practical. How much steadier you are, even somebody treats you with that kind of contempt, you're still sending loving. Why? You remain steadfast. Because you're not decaying. You're not decaying. Your qualities are not decaying. And instead of going through the drastic change, if he does this, I'll do this, and then if he doesn't do this, I won't do this. That kind of, on again, off again type of thing. No such a drastic change. It remains peace. Steadfast peace. So there's actual peace. And if somebody's like that, you, instead of retaliating or tit for tat, you practice peace. You practice patience. Because now you're free of those contraries. Because if you look at the verse number 92 and 93, there's actually there are two pair. Four in the third 92, four in the 93. So free of these four kind of problems, you are now so steadfast, so peaceful. You don't go through decay and drastic change. Some people have drastic change. They don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't have nothing to do with you. You see, because they have no enlightenment. So then they're like a veggie garden that's just deserted. No veggies anymore. Not like that. When you have the one who has the touch of enlightenment, have these four qualities: exact opposite of decay and drastic change, and termination. No, I don't want anything to do with this lot because you're so good, they're so bad. Something like some people say they do that to each other. It's amazing. It's Bodhisattva vow is completely gone if you do that. So we should increase our kindness, our understanding towards them. And maybe they are doing it because of under the sway of their karma, affliction. Maybe they're not entirely enlightened, just like us. Maybe it's very obvious. So we should practice peace. We should practice peace. They said, give peace a chance. Peace doesn't get a mention. Peace doesn't get practiced. Peace only gets signing piece of paper to say we will do this, and then signing a treaty, but actually never making peace when you need to. That's not peace on the negotiating table. If you do this, we will do this. Okay, you agree? We agree. Okay, don't do that any more than that. Okay, otherwise we will. That kind of calculated mean. That's not peace. That's violence. So peace is completely acceptance of the drastic behavior of the other. Drastic behavior of other. So you actually practice tolerance. So, and then it says termination, meaning opposite of termination is permanent. Your bodhisattva vow, your vow to practice loving kindness and compassion and tolerance and the 6 paramitas and so on is for good. It's not just for on Sundays, not for just for Mondays, not just on full moons, otherwise, no, it's always. So there's no on and off thing. It's always there, permanent. And unthinkable transformation means absolute, Absolute meaning that it is beyond the ordinary people's conception, but there is no shifting from your bodhisattva stand. Your stand, but they say, what is your stand? Your stand of bodhisattvic principle is non-transferable, non-negotiable. You will not barter that. You will not, you will not sort of reduce that and to nothing. But you will maintain those qualities. The immaculate intelligence is the ground. We were talking about the uncontaminated, pervasive, unconditioned, and the ground. So that ground is this ground of immaculate intelligence. The immaculate intelligence is being able to sustain these four qualities instead of going through the destructible stage of decay, drastic change, termination, and unthinkable transformation. So the ground is immaculate intelligence is the intelligence of emotionally and spiritually and intellectually very intelligent. That kind of intelligence is unfathomable by ordinary people. They say, wow, how can you do that? You do that because it needs to be done. Someone had to do it, and that immaculateness of not losing its sharpness is immaculateness. Intelligent is intelligent because it doesn't lose to unintelligent, childish, deluded sentient beings' behavior. Is the ground. The ground is that hold. Ground means to hold, that holds these qualities, because it is the foundation for all wholesome qualities. Yeah, the all wholesome qualities. So this now moves to talk about that second part of the verse number 192 is talking about the function of enlightened qualities to benefit others. Once you have these fourfold qualities, steadfast, peace, permanent, and absolute, then it becomes the ground on which you can stand, and then it becomes the foundation for all wholesome qualities, from which then you can now benefit endlessly. So Buddha's enlightenment, that's why enlightened beings are so few. There hasn't been many enlightened ones. Shakyamuni Buddha is the only one that is fully enlightened. The others may have attained enlightenment on a kind of medium level, maybe. Even people like Nagarjuna and all the great luminaries of India, they are not regarded as a fully enlightened one. Because if there is, then there will be two Buddhas in one eon, which is never mentioned that there will be. Next one is Maitreya, So don't try to upstage Maitreya. He's yet to come, He's yet to come. So of course we can edify and honor some of the great luminaries of Buddhist history to almost second to Buddha. That's good. But we should still think they are not fully enlightened like the Buddha. Why? Because enlightened ones are so rare. Every 10,400 plus dark eons, there's only one bright eon. Only during a bright eon does one Buddha come. So that's why we have to therefore see the ground is that which has the sustainable foundation from which it benefits. Ground which is foundation of all wholesome qualities. Those wholesome qualities are the wholesome qualities of virtuous qualities through the Rupakaya. Dharmakaya has twofold, Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. And that immaculate qualities, immaculate intelligence is that it is now able to tailor the teachings to the sentient beings. So that's the brief one. The now detailed explanation of how the enlightened one, function of enlightened one that benefit others is just as the space is not a cause. Of course, space is not a cause, but yet it is the cause of seeing. Space isn't the cause of the bread or whatever, but the bread could not be seen unless there is a space. Cause of bread is wheat, cause of bread is yeast, cause of bread is water, and so on. But the space itself, without the space, you couldn't see any bread or anything. So just the space is not a cause, yet it is the cause of seeing form, hearing sound, and smelling, tasting, and touching. So this is mainly talking about the non-cause space actually becomes the cause of all the five sense objects: the visibility, the audibility, the olfactory, gustatory, tactile. All of these things are indirectly caused by the space, like that. So this is giving us an analogy of the universality, all-pervasive nature. That's why the all-pervasive nature of the space. These two kayas, the two kayas also, just likewise, for the senses that are stable and fuse with unobscured two kayas. So this refers to the ordinary people's senses that are stable. And not ordinary, sorry, bodhisattvas whose sense powers are stable because they are not, they don't have to make a strenuous effort to remove any of the obscurations because their senses are stable. Their senses are not unstable. Say, oh, you see this, and then all of a sudden you form a new opinion, and then you saw this, you heard this, all of a sudden your opinion changes. It's not like that. Their opinions, they don't say, I saw this, I didn't see this, because they don't really see any of those. It's only deluded ones see things and then get delighted with one and upset with another. The bodhisattvas don't say, I saw this, because they're so stable in their unsteady meditative state. And because of that, they are fused with unobscured true kayas. Their kayas, the Rupakaya and the Dharmakaya, is constantly, effortlessly remaining to suit the benefit of sentient beings. The true kayas. Like the Buddha Dharmakaya is constantly like the space. It is causing all of us to meet with the Dharma, to understand that. When we ourselves take the cooperative, positive effort, then it is not the cause. Space is not the cause of things, but it causes everything to be visible and heard and seen and so on. So therefore, it causes the uncontaminated quality to arise. Yeah. So any kind of qualities that we may have not perceived in us, but sooner or later you will starting to notice that it is certain uncontaminated qualities such as loving kindness, untarnished or untainted by hidden agendas. Loving kindness, not just to one or two or like that. Loving kindness towards all beings indiscriminately. When you experience that, it causes uncontaminated qualities that you have this actually like a realization of meditative power, that you actually experience this incredible unbiased loving kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings. And compassion you feel towards all sentient, because they're all in the same boat. They don't know these sufferings and the causes. And they are so stuck in their past and the wrong views. Because of that, they are constantly in that compassion. Because there is not a single moment sentient beings are not suffering. Not because someone calls you, rings you, they're suffering, but because even they don't ring, they call, you don't meet anyone, still they're remaining far in the remote, but they still are as near as the sufferings are to people, because they are able to have such uncontaminated nearness to see the plight of sentient beings. Because of that, they are always in an unperturbed, undisturbable meditative state of compassion, because they are able to, they are so stable in their meditation and practice, because they're not obscured by the two obscurations, neither afflictive obscuration nor cognitive obscuration. Due to the absence of these two obscurations, they are able to remain in that uncontaminated qualities that continue to radiate. And now how much the radiance of the uncontaminated qualities of enlightened one benefit and reach to sentient beings are dependent on the cooperation and merit and concordant activities of individuals. The individual themselves are are very, very receptive to the prevalence of the Buddha and his wisdom and compassion, not just when you look at statues or look at a shrine, but when you truly have refuge, you always have refuge in the pervasive nature of the Dharmakaya and liberative activities of the Rupakaya. Because it has liberated you. You couldn't see that possibility of you being able to drop those smells or those decaying nature, those rude or angry, those wrong views. You never thought that you will drop that. You think it's the strength of you to keep those hate going. But somehow the liberative function of the Rupakaya has shifted you in a way. Maybe you don't, others don't notice, but deep down in you, your thinking has broadened, deepened, and as a result of that, a lot of the styles or smells or obscurations has been completely incensed, and they are no longer there. You don't have the same level of hate, same level of anger, same level of attachment anymore, because you are fused with the stability in you, that you have become jacked up boosted by the qualities of the uncontaminated qualities that even you think is why it's possible for a wretched person like me. And then you become so humbled like no other things, Being able to change you through the Dharma constitution, the mind becomes such sense of qualities of, say, no longer making noise, no longer bickering, no longer projecting, no longer pointing finger at other people, or no longer look at the flaws of others. Previously, one always see the flaws of others, and one is always not sitting well with that and becomes so justified to be angry for days, weeks. But now, your senses are so stable. Your eyes are so tamed. There's no red eyes, let alone swollen ones. Not from anger and grief anyway, They are, you're never complaining, I don't get this, I don't have this. You're never complaining about what you don't have things to see, look, eat, touch. You don't talk about any of those things. Maybe you do, but still that much less than before. much less than before. Why? That's the function of enlightenment. Buddha got enlightenment in Bodhgaya. But the sun, the brightness of light on the night of his enlightenment, shone, whole India was brightly lit. In those days, there was no electricity, But everybody experienced this bright light that they have never heard before. And that's why I call enlightenment. It's whole world lit in the middle of these lunar eclipse. This full moon of May, Buddhist celebrate, because it was a lunar eclipse, full lunar eclipse. There was no chance of everybody being lit. But in the middle of this lunar eclipse, the whole world became completely lit, not by the moon, because moon was going through the eclipse, but it was lit because of his enlightenment, completely woke everybody up. And then the words travel so far that it is due to the enlightenment of Gautama, the Prince Siddhartha, who deserted his parents, now has got enlightenment. The word travels so fast, and his enlightenment is which, without any missionaries, without any actual attempt to propagate Dharma spread so far, so fast. In those days, we're talking about in first century BC, before BC, the Buddha Dharma was already spreading outside Indian frontiers, and Chinese, so far from India, traveled all the distance in search. Faxian, a Chinese monk, this is 4th century AD. This is almost his same. He was almost contemporary of Asanga, He traveled from China in search of Dharma. Why? Because the effect of the brilliance of the enlightenment, the sense the kind of energy that came from the function of enlightenment was so much, it completely sort of radiated. It's just like the permeated. The beautiful smell of the Dharma permeated so far into the court of the Chinese emperors. And when Fascian went to India, that was 4th century AD. I don't think he met Asanga then, He has heard of somebody called Nagarjuna who just passed away, So it's like someone who passed away like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, still you're talking about his big name, So when he went there, he's heard of Nagarjuna, So it's not like a legend. It's just people, some people have actually studied or things like that. So why would so far a distant person go to India? Why? Because the whole unthinkable effect, ripple effect of the enlightenment of Buddha was such, and then coming of the Ashoka the king, in the second century BC, Ashoka was 2nd century BC, and because he came just only a bit over 100 years after Buddha passed away, and then he became the amazing promulgator of Dharma, and he had to, because he couldn't. He was being a ruthless king, but once Dharma touched him, it's completely. Then Ashoka's whole legacy changed after that. Kala Ashoka, he's a black Ashoka. He was terrible, he was violent, he was aggressive, and militant, and so on. But the moment he heard the Dharma from the mouth of Upagupta, it completely changed the man, and he himself is one of the famous Indian emperors who become a monk, and his daughter and his son Mahinda, and the Sri Lankans have very high regard of Ashoka, notably because Ashoka actually made the Dharma spread so far, because the enlightening experience that brought in. It totally got rid of all those 4 things that was decaying and whatever things that the effect that it has on people's life. Tibet would not be on the map of the world, not because our neighbor invaded recently. It wasn't the Dharma that came in Tibet in 6th century, and then 7th, and established totally around 11th century. It got really, really firmly established, and since then it's golden age. Why the whole psyche of such a landlocked country, far away from anywhere, most people don't even know how to get there, let alone dare to go there. But yet Dharma penetrated such hard frontiers and changed the whole psyche and consciousness of the Tibetan people, was because of the radiance, is this unstoppable radiance of the Dharma's brilliance, enlightenment of the Buddha's brilliance, that actually caused. Nowadays, in the world, Dharma is much more well heard and well propagated, because that enlightenment of the Buddha, not because of the Tibetan people. Tibetan people are just one of the small rays of the sun. That we're talking about the actual sun from where you dry your clothes, you put solar heater, or all of that. The Buddha enlightenment is like the sun, brilliant sun, and its quality of it's incredible. No matter how much people draw the solar energy, there's no danger of solar energy decreasing, So this is what we're talking about, and it doesn't go through any drastic changes, There's no danger of people using too much solar power, and the sun says, "Come on, please don't take so much. I will rise tomorrow with less solar power." There's no such thing. Likewise, no matter how many people access Dharma, Dharma is not aging, not decaying, not going through any kind of unthinkable changes. It will not. It is evergreen truth. It is the most important that the world has ever had. We can say that as a Buddhist, definitely. That's why we wouldn't say they say the qualities of Buddha is unthinkable. Quality of Dharma is even more unthinkable. Quality of the Sangha is unthinkable. The qualities of these 3 joined together is indeed unthinkable. And you meditate, Triple gem is a very good object of meditation for Buddhists. People bow down before statues culturally, but that's really that's just a culture way of bowing down. But you sit there, just meditate on the infinite qualities of why we're talking about the enlightenment as the fifth of these 7 Vajra points. It is to inspire our mind. It is to increase our devotion to the Dharma. And Dharma is not text. Dharma is enlightened experience of the Buddha. And Buddha taught what he experienced, what he saw as the truth, and therefore the effulgence of that sun's rays is continuing to warm many chilled, many cold hearts, many sad minds, many bereft minds' life are completely now shining and beaming because they are all experiencing these incredible activities of the Buddha's Dharmakaya and Rupakaya. Because these 2 kayas are fused with the stable and sweet qualities of enlightened mind, and therefore it is causing all sentient beings gradually to become contaminated, to become uncontaminated. Contaminated one knows their contamination is temporary, and when they're starting to decontaminate their mind, they discover their own Buddha nature. When they're starting to discover their own Buddha nature, then they begin to see the Buddha nature in other sentient beings. You see what I mean? So that's why the Mahayana concept, the idea of talking about the Buddha nature as the fourth Vajra points, is very important topic. It's a very different kind of slant. How the teaching goes to inspire people that we all have Buddha nature, because the Buddha who has Buddha nature cultivated that Buddha nature and then fully developed it. We too have that developable Buddha nature potential. We too have that Buddha nature potential, and so sooner or later, however many years or months or eons it may take, still the very inspiring qualities and benefit and function of the enlightenment of the Buddha is still shining in your warm mind, in your life, and give you this very cozy life that may have otherwise been defeated by loss, defeated by illness, defeated by whatever life suffering there are. But none of those sufferings are now a problem for you, because you have now discovered and experienced this overwhelming universal benefit of the Dharma. Because we are talking about the liberating kaya of the Buddha. That's why Buddhists make great effort to make Buddha rupas, statues. Because every time people see some Buddha rupa and they're consecrated and people practice and properly, it totally radiates something. The Buddha image has such a profound effect just by people who don't have any religious inkling or inspiration. Just by laying their eye on the Buddha image will have that kind of effect that is unthinkable. And if they can merely look at the Buddha image has that much unthinkable benefit, wait until they hear his teachings. Yeah? Dharma. If they can hear the Buddha, if they can see the Buddha image has that much, wait until they actually hear the Dharma. So the Dharma, yeah? When people really hear the Dharma, when they really read the Dharma, then it completely stabilizes their life. Otherwise they were so unstable, so choppy, so troubled, so full of wrong views. And the moment they got the Dharma, it completely makes their senses to become stable and fuse with the smell or aroma of the Dharma, and their obscuration become recognized. Previously unrecognized obscuration become recognized. Now recognized obscuration become reducer, and the reducibility of obscuration therefore shows that abandonability of the obscuration, but all the afflictions are abandonable, and qualities are ripenable. The ripened qualities is the Buddha nature. The natural abiding Buddha nature is now conditioned to awaken and become ripened. And this, our ripenability of our Buddha nature only happens because of the existence of the enlightened one. That's why this fifth Vajra point is the cause of our motivation and inspiration. So enlightenment is the cause of inspiration. But at the moment, usually we don't hear much of enlightenment. What is enlightenment? They say this bhumi, that bhumi, fourth bhumi, that talk. But actually affect the one enlightenment has to the world at large. There may be only 10 or 12 countries these days who admit themselves as Buddhist countries or Buddhist things. But that's only recent. But actual number of places the Buddha Dharma has touched and continue to touch is unthinkable, really. Unthinkable. Even, we can even say that even Christianity.
World at large.
Even Christianity, Jesus Christ might even have met Buddhism. All the inspiring qualities of Jesus may have also come from what he learned from Buddha Dharma, because he came only 500 years after, maybe 100 years after Asanga. No wonder why he went to India, because India was full of Dharma then. No wonder it was a good time. Why would all of this Jewish boy, if he's Jewish, all of a sudden he has this wisdom. Where did he come from? Whether they call him a son of God. But he definitely went to the East and returned home changed. So they actually say in Buddhist history that the Dharma spread as far as Greek, and there are actually all Central Asian republics are all Buddhists. Like you talk about Afghanistan, Pakistan, those were some of the bastions of Buddhism. The Takshila, the biggest, only second to Nalanda University, is in Takshila, in Pakistan. But nowadays you don't see anything. But that's history, because the change happens, and the Dharma that spread to as far as Japan. Look at the Japanese people, how it has cultured the people, how much it has sort of softened the people. Not that they were necessarily rough people, but there is amazing kind of thing in the Japanese people's manner and where they're doing. They definitely are kind of fused by the Dharma's gentleness and kindness and courtesy and so on. It totally tames up everybody. So that's why these uncontaminated qualities arise. So when you hear the enlightened qualities of Buddha and enlightened qualities and its function, the function of enlightenment is so that deluded sentient beings have opportunity to become exposed to and make positive change, to walk towards the light, and then leave the darkness of their past, because they have languished in this self-importance. But now that they have they have experienced that. Why we take refuge in the Buddha? It's because when we take refuge in the Buddha, we know his enlightenment, and its radiance of that is already changing our way of thinking, our behavior, attitudes, like unthinkable shift and changes. That's why Buddha is unthinkable. You couldn't think that such a great find could happen in our otherwise miserable life. So that's why life is very precious. If otherwise, not so precious. Otherwise, not so precious. It's no different than other creatures. Just eating each other and taking advantage of another and using force and aggression and to each other. So once you have met the Dharma, you are starting to exercise restraint from doing all the above, and then instead you will practice the exact opposite, because it softens you, it tames you, it brings out the uncontaminated qualities from you, and this is not just kind of lip service. You can intellectually, emotionally see how much it is sensible. It is making sense to you and the mind. That is the function. The what you call the separate function of the self and function to ripen other sentient beings. Fact that we can meet and listen and read the Asanga's text is not because Asanga wrote or I'm explaining. It's because Buddha taught. Not because Buddha taught, because he got enlightened. Before he can teach, he had to be enlightened. Otherwise, all of these consequential things are all because of the after effect of the Buddha's enlightenment. If Buddha's enlightenment was not happening, I don't know, we would ever meet. You probably would be I'll probably be herding some yaks in Tibet and probably eating them. Unfortunately, and so on. So it's the kind of the ripple effect of the Dharma is because of enlightenment of the Buddha. This is the subject tonight. Yeah, subject tonight is the function of the Dharma. That's the fourth one. Yeah, fourth one, function of the Dharma. You have chance to make the Dharma empower you to practice, reconcile with someone you have karmic difficulties. It can help you. If you have Dharma, it can give you the tool how to win them by your loving kindness, by your generosity, by your forgiveness. Otherwise, whatever you have are addition to the burden of your suffering. So go and reduce the baggage one is carrying once you have the Dharma. Then you will really practice compassion, tolerance, generosity, forgiveness. All of this becomes a natural qualities. It seems so sensible. It's just you come alive. You're born again. You're born in one life, but two rebirths. There's some twice born they call twice born. And the first birth is biological birth. Second one is that there's a speech birth. You have born to become who you are by hearing the Buddha's speech, hearing the Buddha Vachana. Yeah. And Asanga is completely giving commentary on the Buddha Vachana. It's called Shastra. Shastra means it teaches, and it teaches show that you change, you heal and restore yourself, you restore your goodness. Tenjo, Shastra, Shasana, the word Shastra. Shastra comes from the word Shasana, which is Tempa. Tempa means the teaching. Teaching teaches you how to drop your hate, how to drop your laziness, how to drop your meanness and so on. And it teaches you how to restore your goodness by practicing the opposite. Instead of lazy, instead of being miserly, instead of being greedy, instead of being angry, you do the opposite. Because it teaches you to do that self-transformation. And then it restores you. It completely heals you. And when they're healed, then the uncontaminated qualities arise. Then you will completely have this immense, unthinkable gratitude that has no words to express. And you can meditate on this. Because we can hear the qualities of the Buddha, the enlightened qualities of enlightenment, and we should now reflect in our mind. And actually, how much big a change, a shift that Dharma has brought into our life when we really have refuge in the Dharma. Lots of people don't take refuge down; they take refuge in cultures and people, and tradition, and schools, and status. Followers of somebody. Gosh, ridiculous. Why you want to follow anybody when you have refuge in the Dharma? Following particular people as you are a fan of them. This is not Dharma, This is like a Hollywood or something, All the deluded people following deluded people. When you really have refuge in the Dharma, You don't need to follow anybody. You need to have the fellowship of Sangha to learn from, but you don't follow them. You follow the teachings. The Buddha said the best thing when he was passing, some monks cry. He says, "I can't get it. Why are you still crying? I left the best thing I can leave you." So Buddha said, "Why are you crying? I have left the teachings." That's the most important. So teaching in Tibetan is ten che, Ten means that is shown. What I've shown you. What I've shown you, if you practice, it will cure you. Cure means it will restore you. It will heal you. But you got to see what you have been shown. It's not jargon. It's not just things, not just artificial knowledge, and not like that. Not just so that you get 80 marks or higher, not like that. So that's why we don't have any examination in these teachings. It's not about having academic kind of a jargon. It's about how much restoration of your attitudes, your mindset, your thought, your views, your opinions, your perceptions, your behaviors, your perception of the people. How much of them need to restoring and changing? People are so stuck in their view of someone, and they don't know how much is detrimental for them to keep that view. So if the teaching taught you, it teaches you to drop that view. Drop that view. Then you have truly heard the teachings, because it hurts your ego, it hurts your pride, it hurts your neurotic behavior, but it will restore your basic goodness. Bitter medicine. Medicine is bitter, but it heals. People may not like it because it hurts, it humiliates your ego, it humiliates your weakest kind of link. But once you practice Dharma, then it will restore your eye to look with kindness, speak respectfully about someone that previously you just didn't have any of the left in you, because you never have heard the Dharma. Even if you heard, it went over your head and never listened to it. You were listening something else. You were listening facts. You were listening to a list of things. You weren't actually hearing the real thing that were taught and shown, because you are not looking elsewhere. That's why the teaching says the one should avoid the three faults of a vessel. The vessel that is upside down, of course, that's not going to be a problem, because everybody's listening with such. But a vessel that is leaking, and that's a forgetting one. And then dirty one. That's not leaking, not upside down, properly put, but still it's dirty. And so using the worldly, for the worldly purposes of the listening, if devoid of these faults, when you listen, then you will really hear it, and the teaching has shown you as if they have totally opened your eyes, as if you have been cataract whole life, and you never could see anything until you had that optical operation. That's why Lobsang Rampa wrote the book called Third Eyes. And when you hear the Dharma, you'll get a new eye that completely surpasses the ordinary two eyes. Even you traveled 120 countries in the world, you've been to Machu Picchu, you went to Everest, you went to 7 wonders of the world, you spent thousands of dollars in traveling here and there, still you haven't seen anything. That's the Buddha says, come here, behold the truth. Come here, behold the truth. Buddha invited his disciples, come here, behold the truth. Likewise in Vajrayana empowerment also, they show, come here and behold the mandala. Behold the mandala. So Vajrayana uses the kind of art to show the teaching, But actually they're talking about Dharma, the truth of the Dharma, the enlightenment of the Buddha. Why mandalas, the deities are important? Because they all represent enlightenment. So because of enlightenment, all of these enlightened ones, their manifestation and retinues, all of these things become very, very interesting kind of icons. The icons are icons of enlightenment. The icons are not icons of some worldly gods. Icons are icons of enlightenment, so that you don't forget enlightenment. So that you remember bodhicitta. so that you remember the four principles, four seals of Dharma, so that you remember enlightenment, emptiness, so remember impermanence, so that you remember and all the crucial teachings of Dharma. Therefore, these icons are there, the wall hangings are there, all these things are there to remember enlightenment. Oh, this is Tara. She came from tear of the Buddha to help sentient beings. Oh, this is Avalokiteshvara. All of these are there like a troops of soldiers of peace trying to help us to bring the goodness that we lie dormant in us. So therefore, when we talk about the fifth Vajra point, which is enlightenment, of which we have discussed the first four points, which is talking about the cause, nature, and the result, and the function. So these four we have concluded. Everyone, thank you. So we were going to do the dedication merits and thank you, everyone.